Hello everyone, this is the Cajun Gaming Guild, and this is Little Giant coming to you. And today we have another installment of our little tower defense clicker game, resource management, that we are creating in Scratch. Alright, um, sorry I've been gone for a little while, I've been gone for about a week. I had went away to the big city for a little bit, and been super busy at work, so I took a little bit of a break, but I'm back now, and so you guys should see more of these videos popping out a little more regularly again. So today we're gonna go over what we added to the game, all right? And that doesn't look like much probably to you guys from the last time, but it's quite a bit. So we're gonna start, and I'm gonna show you what we have first, and then we'll go over everything in detail. All right. So I'm going to just give myself some resources so you guys can see what we've got going on here. So we reset the game, give myself a couple hundred food, couple hundred wood, and hide these again. So now we have this button right here. This is our upgrade button, all right, or buying button, shop button, whatever you want to call it. Click on that. It's going to open a menu. All right. You can increase your population with 20 food. You can build a tower for 20 food, or you can build a house for 30 wood. Or sorry, build a tower for 20 wood, not food. All right. So if you click on this button, you're going to notice the population goes up 1, okay, and your food goes down 20. And you can do that as many times as you need to, up to 5. After 5, I'm clicking, it's not doing anything anymore. Until you buy houses. So if you want to build a house, you can see right away it increased my population an extra 3 people, and then you can buy 3 more people, okay? So that's all I added there, and that's the population is going to be required for auto gathering of resources, and your towers do not shoot unless there is a person in them, all right? Or you have to be the person in them. You can hold your click button down on the tower or the castle and they will fire when you do that, but otherwise you will have to have a person in there to man them, all right? So that's what that's all about. The towers, that was quite a lot more complicated, but I did do it. I thought, you know what, am I going to have a grid system? There are some really awesome grid systems out there. I've looked at them. They don't look super difficult, but I thought I don't really want a grid system where people could be tempted to build all the way up here, for instance, and like completely be way out of the way. Um, I mean, not to say that that would matter. They could just reset and start over, I guess. But I decided to just go with certain locations. I just put certain locations down, 12 of them to be precise. And what happens is a little icon's going to pop up on the ground. So I'll just show you that. Build a tower. So you'll see all these little icons when you hover over them. They light up, so that means you have a tower that you're able to build, okay? Just because you bought it, you never actually placed it yet, all right? And once you click on one of these buttons of your choice, one of these places, it'll ask you, do you want to build a tower here? If you click no, it'll just continue doing its thing until you build it, all right? You still have the tower until you actually physically put it down. All right, so let's just build it there, for instance, and you'll see my tower popped up right where it was supposed to be. All right, and then we go here. We're going to build another tower. Well, we're going to put it here this time. Build this one. Yep. All right. Now we have 2 towers, etc., etc., etc. You could build all 12 of them if you had the wood for it. All right. Now, I have not programmed the towers to fire yet. All right. I have not programmed the towers so they have a radius, or a circumference, like a circle around them. But I'm going to do that soon. That's going to probably be in the next video. All right, this was quite a bit all on its own. I'm going to show you the code now. For this is basically all I've done, but it is quite a bit of code and quite a bit of work. So I figured I would just make my next video here just so it doesn't get too confusing. All right, so let's go over that now. All right, so first off, we're just going to go with the button. All right, the button to open the menu. Pretty straightforward. I created a toggle for on and off called menu open check. All right. So whenever the menu is not open, then just set it to 1, which means open it. But if it's already open, I just set it back to 0, close it. Okay. That's when you're clicking on this button. Now, when the green flag is clicked, just set it to off right away. Go to this location, go to the front layer and show yourself. Okay. And forever, if the menu is not open, and touching the mouse pointer, switch costume to 2, which is the lighter. See how it lights up to 2? That's just to show that you can click on this button, please, if you want to. All right. Else, keep it just regular. Okay. And you'll see here that I have menu close. Okay, so if the menu is already open, so if it's not 0, okay, I want you to do the else part. Okay, so what that does is it switches this to the close button. See, it turns into the X, which is what you want. All right, so and that means when you click on this, well, what's it going to do? It's going to shut the menu down. It's going to make it back to 0 again, switching it back to the original graphic. All right, that's how I programmed that. It was very simple to do. I didn't have to put this arrow here. I could have put the arrow anywhere I wanted, or the icon for opening the menu. I could have put it down here, and I still could have had it move there to change to the X when I needed it to. All right, I just happened that it was in the same area, so I thought, well, I might as well just line it up perfectly, and that worked for me. All right. So with the menu open, now that this is done, there's no more code here for this one. We're going to go to the menu background, all right? And the menu background, it's pretty big, but it's not all that complicated. So when the green flag is clicked, set menu page to 1. So that means I want it. So you look down here, there's a little number 1. I want it to be on the first page, okay? As you click right and left, you'll see that the page number goes up to 4 for right now. It's all the pages I have. Okay, but you could set it to whatever you wanted and go as high as you wanted. I just have 4 pages because that's all I wanted for now. All right, because I do plan on expanding the menu in future updates. So here, all I did was on my costume. You'll see all I did was put the stuff straight up, right down on the background itself. All right, it's not too complicated. All I did was make graphics. That's all this is graphics. They're not actual buttons. They're not actual anything. It's just letters on a background, on a sprite, I should say, which I call the background. And there's the second, third, and fourth pages. All right, they're just blanks. That's all they are for now. And forever, if menu check is 1, so that means the menu is open, then I want you to switch to the costume of the menu page number, which is 1 right at the moment. Go to this specific location and show yourself. Otherwise, if menu is not open, hide. It's that simple, all right? That's how that works, okay? Now the complicated part. So I'm just going to back out to show you guys. It's not gigantic. I'm going to clean up the blocks to make sure there's nothing hiding that I missed. I'm pretty sure there's not, but I just wanted to do that anyway. So when this sprite is clicked, and like in most of the games that I make and the menus, I always make it so that I am looking for a certain location on this graphic. All right. So if the menu is open, meaning I don't want to be able to click where the buy button is here and it actually do something if the menu's closed, because you can make that error. All right, that there is such a thing as that error if you didn't put this menu check open thing, menu open check. If you didn't put that there and you were to click where this buy button is, it will actually still work, unfortunately, because again, it's you're still clicking in that area, all right? And I say that it's going to work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The reason why it would work is when you're hiding, sometimes it still acts like it's there, all right? Or if you ghost something, that's another way, right? It can still click on the button. So just as a safety feature, I always put the toggle. So if the menu's open, then you're allowed to click on it. If the menu's closed, then you're not allowed to click on it by accident even, all right? So that's what that's for. And then it's going to look for the location of the mouse and X values and the mouse Y values. So I want it to be between here and here X Ys and between here and here Y Ys. And if it is, then it knows, okay? Oh, sorry. This first part, haha, I don't want to confuse you. This first part is not there. It's it's these arrow buttons, okay? So it's between here and here XYs and here YYs. And if it is, change the menu number by 1. So that means if I click here, this will go up by 1. All right? And it does. And then the other one is just the opposite. It's these numbers, okay? And it's to change the menu page by -1, all right? And that's how you move your menu pages up and down, more like back and forth, right to left, however you want to look at it, okay? If menu page is equal to 1, though, then I want you to be able to do this stuff, okay? And that's if the mouse is, and this time it is the food one. So if it's between here and here, meaning this square box, if it's here and you click on this, all right, you have more than 19 food because it costs 20 food. So anything above 19, you should be able to afford it, all right? And your population is not maxed out. Okay, so if your population is under the maximum amount, then you're allowed to click on it. That's how I protect myself from going over the population limit. Then you're going to change the food by 20. You're going to change the population by 1. Very simple code, all right? It's not super complicated. Before I continue, I'm just going to quickly show you in the main code because I believe I only added one line there, and it's this one. And this one is going to set the population to the max pop. It's always going to set the max pop to 5 plus how many houses I have bought or own, which is 0 at the start of the game, times 3. So if I have one house, that's going to automatically increase my population up 8. So at the start of the game, you'll have 5 population. That'll be the people that live in the castle itself. All right. So for every house that you add, there are no graphics for the houses. Like you could add that if you wanted. I never did that. I mean, that might be something I might do later, but I'm probably not going to. Okay. So that's how that code works, and it automatically just updates as you buy houses. All right. Simple code, guys. Not too bad. Okay, so let's continue on to the next button. So this one here is the tower, which again, it's looking for this specific area if you click here. And if your wood is bigger than 19, which is 20, okay, then you can set your menu open check to 0, meaning I want you to close down this menu now, all right? I want you to close it down and then change the wood by the amount that you want to spend, which is the 20 wood. Broadcast, build a tower, and then wait a second. Okay, why did I put the wait 1 second? It's because sometimes when you do broadcasts, not all the time, but sometimes, and actually more often than not, when you do a broadcast, it does it more than once. All right, it's just, I don't know if it's a bug or it's just, it happens so quick that sometimes it actually happens 2 or 3 times. So what happens is you're broadcasting this build tower 2, 3 times and you end up with more stuff than you actually paid for. So by just waiting a second, you could even put 0.1 second, that's probably more than enough. But I always just wait a second because I'm not going to be able to come open up the menu and buy another one in less than a second. I mean, you might be able to, but on the normal gameplay, you're probably not going to be able to do that. So it'll still be working by the time you're able to click the button. If you were able to quickly open up the menu and do it again, it's just not going to work until the second's up. But once the second's up, you'll be able to do it again. All right, it's not a big deal. All that is just protecting it from doing it more than one time. Okay. And the third one is the house one, of course, if it's in this specific area. If your wood is greater than 29, then change your wood by 30. and change your house amount by 1, which is automatically going to just increase your population value when you do. Now, one thing, you'll notice that all of these graphics here, right at the moment, every single one of these graphics is in the front layer, and they're always forever looping in the front layer. So when you first create your menu, all these things are going to be on top of it. You're going to see the castle, you're going to see the trees, you're going to see the everything except for this, because this is not in a forever loop. Okay, the mountain is not. It's just a picture, so it's just sitting there. It's not in a forever loop, but the lake is, and all these trees are in forever loops. The bushes, like everything is in a forever loop. So all I did was I went on every single one of those, okay, and I put just a simple toggle that says if the menu is closed, then you can show yourself. But if the menu is open, I want you to hide right here, okay? And that's the simplest way to do that, all right? And I also added on the forest one extra one. So if the menu open check is 0, you can show yourself, okay? So if the menu is not open, but I also had to put another one, the confirm check window, which is what we're going to go into now. Because when you buy a tower, you notice, sorry, that there was a little small window that came up and said, would you like to buy, or not? Yeah, when you actually click on the area that you want to put it, it says, it's like, do you want to buy the tower here or build a tower here? That's your confirmation window. And it popped up right in the location where this forest was going to be at. All right. And some of these buttons would have been as well. So I have all those little buttons, the little areas, the base here. I have that code on there too, so that they hide when that little menu is open. If it's open, only this stuff hides though, okay? And I'm going to show you that right now just so you remember. Let's see, I'm just going to give myself some wood. We'll open this up. We'll hide that again. Build a tower. Oop, something's not working. I'm not sure why. Hold on. I don't know if it's because hide. All right. I don't know what happened there. Maybe it's because I had shut it off by accident. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so now, so like I say, so this right here is there right now. All these are there. I'm going to build more than one tower, so you know what I mean. All right, so now I have 2 towers. There will be a way to know how many towers you have. I don't have it set up here, but I think I'm going to make, like, there's going to be um, a tooltips that's going to pop up right around here from almost all of these things. When you hover your mouse, it'll just give you a little bit of information on them, including these, and it'll tell you how many towers you own, but you just haven't built them yet. Because I'm going to also put in, if you want to, let's say, destroy this tower and get some of your resources back, all right, it will actually reduce the number of towers that you currently own as well, all right? Or for them, it's basically the materials for how many towers you could build. That's what you've paid for. Then when you click on this, it's going to open that little menu I was telling you about. So again, you see all the little things, the little bases, base areas where you can build the towers, they all disappeared. I do not want to see them while this is there, and I do not want to see the forest. But everything else is still visible because it does not block the graphic, so I didn't figure it was necessary to hide those, okay? Then do you want to build this tower? Yes. Then it all appears again, all right? And again, if you wanted to build another one, all right? And that's how that works. Pretty straightforward stuff, all right? All right, so that explains those two. Next, we'll go to the confirmation window. We might as well, since it's part of that whole tower building process, okay? So, when I receive, actually, we'll do this last. We'll go to the base next. I believe the base is the next thing that happens anyway. So, when I just want to back up a little bit, so make sure that I'm seeing all my code, because sometimes it's not, or it's hiding, or etc, etc, etc. So we're going to start with when the green flag is clicked, okay? So when the green flag is clicked, I want you to repeat yourself 12 times. I want you to add zeros to tower X and tower Y positions. Again, if you watched my previous video on the enemy and Avery walking, okay, the animated graphic, it gets attached to the other graphic, which is the one that's moving around and it's hidden, all right, in order for it to stay on the path. I basically used the same idea for this. I have a base graphic, all right, the base of the tower, and I put those wherever I wanted them to pop up, and those are all here in the XY values. All right, I just did them all separate. It only took a few minutes to do. It's not super complicated, okay? But I have to be able to put the tower where those are. All right, I have to, all these towers have to appear exactly where those all are all at. So in order to do that, I made a list with the X positions of the towers and the Y positions of all the towers. All right, so all of these X positions are recorded on that list. All right, and then when the tower is looking to figure out where it needs to go, it just goes to the location that I have, and I will show you that when we get there. So at the start, though, I need it all to have a value of 0, all right? So that's what happens. Then you can hide, meaning I do not want the original sprite of the base to be used. I want it to just go away permanently because all I'm going to use is clones of this base, all right? Then I want you to set the number index to 1, which is your clone ID number, all right? I just use number index. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I use clone ID. But this is a for this sprite only variable, all right? Then I want you to go to the specific location. I believe the first one is like right here somewhere, all right? Create a clone of yourself, replace in the lists of the tower X and the tower Y, I want you to replace yourselves with the current X position and Y position, which is these, all right? And then just change your clone ID by 1 or your number index by 1 and just do the same thing for the next part, which is like roughly here. Then the next one, which is roughly here somewhere, all right? And you're going to do that 12 different times, okay? And you're going to record yourself in those two lists, and I will show you them. See, so there's all the X positions and there's all the Y positions, okay? And then after that, that part is going to be done. Then they're going to start up as clones, okay? But they're going to be hidden in the background, all right? They're always going to be hiding unless something specific happens. Let me just back out this a little bit more. I know it's going to be a little harder to see. So when you start as a clone forever, if the menu check is open, or sorry, is closed, so meaning I don't want the menu here, all right? And if the amount of used towers and the amount of max towers are, if they're not equal, all right? Meaning, so I have 3 variables for the amount of towers. I have max towers, the max that I have, how many I've actually used, I've actually built, I should say, okay? And how many that I own. There's 3 different variables that I'm using to be able to figure out what you see and what you don't see, okay? So when you click on this button and buy one, the max towers goes up by 1, and the amount of towers that you currently own goes up by 1. But the amount that you've built stays at 0 because you haven't built any yet. That's the part when you click on the button and change the number. And when you do, the amount of towers that you've used goes up by 1, which would mean it would be equal to the max towers. And when that happens, it's going to hide your graphics, okay? So if that part is being done, and this part is being done, and this part is being done, and this part is being done, okay, then you will show yourself. But if any of them are wrong, okay, so that means the confirmation check window's open, hide. If the max towers and the used towers is equal, hide. If the menu is open, hide. If it's already been built, okay, there is a check for that, I had to do that, then also hide, all right? And meaning what this check does is, let's say I built a tower here, I do not want the base to appear underneath this tower when it's already built, because I don't want you to be able to click on that and build a second tower right on top of it, right? So in order to do that, I have a check built in so that when you purchase a tower, when you build it and actually place it down, this area is no longer available to build on until you actually sell it or destroy it later and get some of your stuff back. Then it will free this one up again. All right. But for now, it's just hiding. So if that's one, then I obviously do not want you to show yourself. Okay. So at that point there, when these little buttons are showing themselves, and I'm going to just show you what I mean. So I'll buy myself another one. Okay. So we'll hide this. So if it's touching the mouse pointer, I want you to set your ghost effect to 0, meaning fully visible, which creates that little pop out like it's not half hidden anymore. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Go to the front layer and show yourself. Otherwise, just stay at 50% ghosted and show yourself. Okay, that's all that does. All right. Next, when the sprite is clicked. So when which sprite is clicked? Well, any of these clones of this specific base sprite, whenever they are clicked, since I have it set up as a for this sprite only, they each have their own separate number index. Okay, they all have their own clone ID. All right, so when I click on one, let's say this one, this is the first one. What's going to happen is, let me just go to my temp clone. So right now it's 0. Okay. So when I click on this, this is the first one. I'm pretty sure it's the first one. I think it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think 6, 7, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Right. So when you click on this, it should set it to 1. All right. It sets the temp ID to 1. Why I did that is because I need the tower. All right, to know which one I'm talking about when it needs to place itself in a few seconds here. All right. And what that does is it's telling this tower by using this temp clone ID number that I'm looking at the first clone. All right. If I had clicked, so I just reset it. Okay. This hasn't reset. It doesn't have to. But when I click on this, let's say it goes to 12. So that's the 12th one that I built. Okay, and etc. I think this is 2, 3. So I must have built all of these first, and then this was the last one that I built. So this is probably 11. Yeah, it is. All right, and all it's doing is whichever one that you're clicking on, it's setting the temp ID to that number in order for the tower to know where it is going to go. All right, it's going off of this specific number. So this number is a global number, and this number is a for this sprite only. So for all sprites and for this sprite. That's the two differences here. Okay, and then when that happens, when it figures out where it needs to be, it's going to broadcast tower confirmation. And all that's doing is sending a message to this window to open itself up and do something. And I will get to that when we get to this in a few seconds. Okay, we're going to do that one next. Then when I receive hide everything, that's going to be your game over. All right, when that happens, it's just going to delete all the clones. That's it. All right, I want it to stop everything in its tracks, and that's the way I do this. Okay, and when I receive spawn tower, all right, so when I receive the spawn tower, and that's going to happen when I confirm, when I click the yes button on the confirm, it's going to give me a message that's saying, okay, I'm actually going to build a tower here now. When that happens, it's going to, if the number index, okay, if the clone ID is equal to the temporary clone ID that I have set here, so remember how I said it didn't change a second ago until you actually click on another one. See, now it's at 12. Well, I'm doing that because I'm clicking no. So it doesn't care. It doesn't have to change yet. All right. But if I was to click yes and it sent this spawn tower message, well, now I need this to know which one I'm talking about again. So that way there I can set the already built check to 1. Remember the I told you about that earlier, so that when I've built a tower here, I do not want to see this base anymore. So this is how you hide it. All right. It's going to set it to 1 until you destroy the tower later, let's say. All right. It's going to set it to 1. And when it's set to 1, it'll no longer show itself the next time you go to buy your tower. And that's how I have that set up. Okay. And that's all the code for the base of the tower. Okay, now we're going to go to the confirmation window because that's the next thing in line. Okay, it's going to build tower confirmation broadcast when you click on the button that you want, and we're going to go here and we're going to do this one next. It's pretty simple. This one's even more simple than the last one. Okay, I just want to make sure we see everything. We do. There's only 3 lines of code. Again, it's always good to clean up your blocks and keep them nice and straight and orderly. And I do that once in a while, not all the time, but I do. When I receive build tower confirmation, which is the order that the other one gave, the base, when you clicked on it, okay, then it's going to set the confirmation check to 1, meaning hide this and hide all of these buttons because it's going to open up the window. Okay, it's going to open up this little window. All right. Then it's going to go to the front layer and show itself, meaning this little graphic here, the costume, which is, again, just a picture. That's all it is. All these are pictures. They're not buttons, nothing like that. They act as buttons, but they're just pictures. Okay. Then I want it to pop up specifically in a location, which is 0, 0, right in the dead center of the map. Show itself. And whenever the green flag is clicked, I just want to make sure that I hide this every time, just in case it was open when you wanted to reset your game, you want it to hide. All right. Then after that, if it's in the specific location of wherever I have it set up here, and there's a yes button on the left and a no button on the right, okay, when it's there, so when it's here or when it's there, I need it to know that. So that's my checks with these big green, all right, these big green operators, that's what they're checking for, the X position of the mouse and the Y position. So if it's in the first area, which is the yes button, set confirmation check to 0, meaning, okay, you guys can all show yourselves again because I'm hiding, right? It's going to hide in a split second. You can see it coming up. So I'm just basically allowing all this stuff to show itself again. Change the use towers by 1, meaning it's going to equal the max towers now, which is what we want to do to hide the rest of those little base buttons, all right? And we also want to change the amount of towers available by -1, which is going to put that down to 0. Then it's going to broadcast spawn tower, which is going to be the next step, which is going to be this graphic here, all right? And at that point there, we're going to go over that in a second when we get to it. It's just going to hide itself, meaning hide this menu, all right? Or this pop-up, and wait 1 second. Again, the reason why I put the wait 1 second is because I do not want it to spawn more than 1 tower. I do not want it to happen more than once. All right. Then, if you're in this one, well, all I want you to do is simply set the confirmation check to 0, meaning show the forest again, show all the buttons, and just hide. Do nothing else. It'd be like you never did anything at all. All right, that's all that's going to happen when you're clicking here. All right, it's just canceling. That's all it's doing. All right, so that's how this works. It's, again, quite simple code. Hopefully you understand what it's doing. Okay, then lastly, we're going to go to the tower. All right, and this also is not super duper hard. Might as well get rid of some stuff. I never realized I hadn't cleaned this all up yet, but we're going to clean it up, make it look tidy. There we go. I'll put this right here. All right, we're going to zoom in. We're going to start with when the green flag is clicked. First off, you're going to set your clone ID number. Okay, so this is the specific clone ID for this sprite only to 0. And this clone checker also is for this sprite only. And this, all this is doing, if you've watched all my previous, or one of my previous videos on clones and how I made the enemy and etc., I explained all this in great detail, but I'm going to go over it right quick. All this is doing is making sure that I'm not using the original sprite that you see here, that this is just hiding somewhere in the corner, and all I'm using is the clones, okay? That's what I want to use, all right? So this is the way to ensure that when I create a clone, I'm creating it off of the original sprite and not creating a clone off of each clone that I have created. So once you have 3 clones made, if you didn't have this check here, all three of those clones would also create clones, etc., and it would like completely get out of whack. It would like incrementally increase in number, meaning you would max out your clones in a few clicks, which is not good. So you don't want to do that ever. So this is the way to stop that. All right. Then it's going to then we have the tower build checker to 0. All right. And this is how I know when this tower has been built in this specific location. All right. I want you to send off a message to the other item saying, okay, it's built now, and I don't want you to show the base in that specific location anymore. So the tower built checker is not or yes, it is. So I must have done something differently there, and I will check that in a moment. Okay. I will check that in a moment. Okay, I can't remember why I put that there, but I will figure it out in a second. Then you're going to hide yourself. You're going to repeat 12 times. Why 12? Well, because I have 12 of these. All right? I have 12 of them. That's what I did for the base. I created 12 bases. So I need to create 12 clones that are hiding. They're still created right at the start of the game, but they're all hiding. So you can see the amount of clones I have is 30. All right. I have 12 of these. I have 12 of the towers. And I have, so that's 24. So I have 6 other clones, which are the trees, I believe. All right, that's what I have. That's the amount of clones that I have set up in my game right now, which is not a huge amount, which is plenty. So that means I could add a ton more. I could add a whole bunch more positions if I wanted. I could add a whole bunch more towers if I wanted. All right, I have tons and tons of room to play with. But again, it's better off to be way under, than even close to 300, where one mistake could put you over the limit and crash your game. Okay? So at that point, it's going to repeat itself 12 times. And then it's going to check to make sure that the clone, okay, it's checking to make sure that what you're cloning is not the clones. It's only the original sprite. That's all you want to clone. Meaning it's only going to happen one time, not for how many ever clones you have. Then it's going to change the clone number by 1, okay, and then create the specific clone, all right, with the ID that you want it to have, which is 1 to 12, which is matching up the base numbers as well. There's 1 to 12. So that's how you do that. And when I receive spawn tower, okay, so when this confirmation window is clicked on yes, it sends out that spawn tower, okay. If the clone number is equal to clone ID, then set the tower build checker to 1. And now I know why this was off to the side here, because this is not needed. Bye. All right, because I have this, or do I? Was it here? Right here. This is where I needed that. I did not need this in the window. I needed it here. Because, and that's why I was confused, I think. Or was it? Hold on 1 second here. I needed it at both places, I think. So I went and just got rid of that. Whoops. All right. I can get it back. Not a big deal. I can't undo it, unfortunately, but I can get it back. And it's basically the same code as this. So I'm just going to copy this one back. So when I receive spawn tower, it's not the number index that I want. It is the clone ID. The clone number. All right. And I think, oh yeah, it's the same exact thing. Now I understand why I have this here. So the reason why I have this here and here, okay, is because I want this to hide as well. I want this specific graphic to hide, or I want it to know that it's already been built, so I can't repeat the building process on this as well. All right, that's why this is here. All right. Sorry for the confusion. Then when I receive hide everything, so that's your game over screen, you want to hide and delete all the towers that you might have built, okay? And then we go on to the clone. So when you create your clone of yourself, this is what you want to happen. You want to set the clone checker to yes. So this is where you're letting it know, yes, you are a clone now. You're not the original sprite, okay? And this happens 12 times. So each time you create a clone, it's going to set itself as a clone. Yes, I'm a clone. You're going to go to the specific number of the clone ID. So if it's the first clone created, you're going to go in that list of tower X and Y. You're going to go to that location, which is here. And all you're going to do is hide until you're needed. All right. You're going to change the Y position by 13 because it doesn't line up perfectly on top of the base. The tower does not. So by changing the Y by 13, it perfectly lines up. Okay. So that's why you do that. Then forever, all you're going to do is if the menu is open or the confirmation box is open, then hide yourself because you do not want to see the tower in the way. All right. When you have that menu open or when you have the big menu open, you want the towers to hide themselves. Okay. And if the tower build check is 1 though, all right, so that means it's built. And that's where this comes into effect. Okay, so set the tower build checker. That's why. So right now, if it's 0, at the start of it, it should not be built. But when it is built, finally, if it is yes, then all you want to do is show yourself whenever the menus are not present. So that's why you see the tower pop up where you need it. Okay? And it's that simple. So if tower build check is 1, then show yourself. Okay? It's pretty simple stuff. And the tower built checker, I say, is a temporary clone. All right? So it's pretty straightforward. Spawn tower, and this should be not this. And that could be why I was confused a little earlier. That's what it's setting. So when I receive spawn tower, that's when it's setting this in to show itself that it's been built to be able to show itself. Okay? Because if I would have just tried it there with the other code, it would not have worked. That would have been an error. But now this is correct. This is how it's supposed to look. So I need it to change right here in order to show itself. And then from that point on, it will always show itself as long as the menu is not open. Okay. And then later on, if you do want to sell it or destroy it, and that'll be in a different tutorial altogether, then you will be able to do that, get some of your resources back. And again, that's how this all works. I'm pretty sure I have all the code. I'm just going to scan over here because it's been a little over a week since I've talked to you all and made a video. And I just kind of threw this all together and I figured I would create this video to get you guys caught up. And I'm pretty sure that's all I have for you. So hopefully you like this. Hopefully it helped you. All right. And again, if you guys have any ideas for this game to make it more fun or you want to see something implemented, don't be afraid to mention it in the comments below and we'll see what we can do about making that happen. Okay? So for this episode, it's going to end here. Hopefully you guys aren't too confused and hopefully I'll see you in the next episode. If you don't mind hitting the like and subscribe buttons down below, that would be amazing, guys. Thank you very much for watching. See ya.